This is Daniel, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about Json. Json stands for JavaScript Object Notation, and it's in its essence, the basics is basically a way to structure data so that um, this information can be sent and received, and of course be understood by different applications. Um, it's the way it has become a very popular, and I believe that today I think it's the most popular way to communicate between applications, and it's extremely important to understand. And basically here I have an example that I'm using this library called Json, and I added as an external library my project, and here I'm importing this I'm importing the external library. I created a student class here. It's a very simple class. It basically has the name, age, and phone of a student, and an array of strings where you can add courses. I created getters and setters and a constructor, just getters and setters, and the toString method. And right here, I basically have two methods. The method student to JSON and the method JSON to student. The student to JSON, it basically requires a student object, and it returns a string. And this string is formatted as in the JSON format. Basically, you just give it a student, and it is going to spit out a string with that object translated to JSON. And this one here, it gets a string in the JSON format. It maps basically the JSON. It creates an object, and right here, as you can see, it returns. Here you're gonna have a null. It just created a null object. Then I'm going to read the string here, and it returns a student class. So I can pass it to the student object, and then I return it. And basically here I'm just checking if there is any kind of error, and if there is, it will return null because it will not. It's going to skip the try, and just as it's null here, it will return a null object or a no value. So here in the main part of the program, I basically created three students, instantiated three objects. The first one, I created the student object 1, and I also created an array list adding some courses, and here I'm setting the name, Daniel 25, the number, phone number, and adding courses. When I run this program, it returns me these values. So let's first focus on the this first line here. And this first line here is this guy here. I created the student object. I used the student to JSON. So I'm giving the student object and we return a JSON. string, as you can see here. It's returning a string, and then I'm printing it. And as you can see, that's the way that a JSON a JSON information should look like. It is always bounded between two curly braces, and then you're going to have always these key value pairs where you're going to have uh, the key and value, always like this. In this case, it's a very simple one. I'm giving the key value. The key name is name, and the value is Daniel, which is a string. Then I have here another key, which will always be a string, and the value can vary. For example, here I had a string. Now I had an int number. I have a number. Then here I have another string. Then I have the courses. This one is my favorite because here I can see that I don't have a string or an int value. I have an array. And this array, I could have another object and not only just common strings. I could have another object initiating with curly braces and have any kind of thing. And inside of it, I could have another list, and it goes on and goes forth, and basically that's it. Then I am taking this JSON string here, and I'm passing it to the JSON2Student object. And as I said before, it returns a student. So here I have a student JSON. It will be generated from the JSON. There's one here. And then I will print. I would just basically print. And as you know, when I print this object, it will call the toString method. And as you can see it here, it starts with a student. The same way that I specified here, it starts with a student, then equals, and then the values. So as you can see here, they're very similar, but they're different. The second object I created here, I basically just created the object and didn't set any value. So as you can see here, the object was instantiated, so it has a name, it has an age and phone, courses, attributes, but no values were assigned to them. So all of them are null or zero. In this case of the int, the default value is 0. So basically, I just instantiated the object but didn't set any value inside of the attributes. So here I'm just printing the JSON. I'm passing it to the student JSON, which returns a string, JSON string, and printing it in this guy here. Then I'm printing this one here, which is an object. And then I'm just trying to get the name, but as you can see, it's null. And the third example, I didn't even instantiate it. I just passed a null. As you can see here, it's just null. And when I try to, I do the same things, string to object, object to string, and printing, I just received a null. And when I try to access the getName function method, it doesn't have any because it was passed a null, so it doesn't have any getName, so it returns an error, as you can see here. So that's it for today. I hope you understand. JSON is extremely important. It's a concept that we all should know, and I kind of like it now because it kind of made a little bit more clear. Thank you so much for watching.